Australia, South Australian Off-Road Championship Round 2, and we welcome along There we go, it should be live now. Welcome everyone. If you haven't formed up, please form up. You're at the Tough As Mini Pave 250 Sunday edition here, round 2 of the Motorsport Australia South Australian Off-Road State Championships. And good morning to Toby Cooper.
Thanks, Lyndon. Yeah, we're back for another exciting day of action, and I love to call it the trophy day in off-road racing. And at the end of the day, there'll be some champagne and there'll be some trophies handed out, and we'll have the inaugural Mini Pave 250 champion, and so much to look forward to. And there's some fast racing ahead of us. Of course, both heats do 5 laps, another 100 kilometres in store for all competitors, and we've got some really quick cars, Lyndon, in this opening heat. Andrew Miles finds himself in there after the flat tyre. Nick Hicks, Blake Ridley, Stephen Brown, Naomi Brown and Brad Shear will lead them off in the general, so yeah, there's lots to look forward to in both heats of racing.
And who's in front from yesterday, mate?
Simon Tucker. He was a bit of a, you actually give me a little bit of, asked me who was my tip there, a sneaky little side bet, and I actually put Simon Tucker there in P1, so hopefully he can do us proud and bring it home for another 5 laps. But he's got Adam Burl right on his hammer, and of course Hamish Lockett sits in to leave an event with, so we'll keep an eye on that. But first of all, we'll go to heat number 1 of section 3. And Lyndon, that starts from car 11th down to 21. So we have 21 starters, we'll have 11 in heat 1, and then we'll have our 10 quickest cars from yesterday in heat 2.
Yeah, great day's racing yesterday. There was a lot of water hidden out on the track that we can't see from here that caught a lot of competitors out and how slippery it really was. Some great video and photos out from that yesterday that you can look up on social media, all the off-road racing photographers, and just a quick shout out to all the photogs that probably, some of them can hear us, some can't, but Big Bad BD's got a whole heap of tripods out here, and there was a couple near the mud there, and these guys took their time to clean it, a lens for him yesterday, so that's the camaraderie in off-road racing. Fantastic, thanks to all the guys that were part of that.
Great to see, and that is one thing we are very fortunate with our great sport at the moment. We have some serious photographers out there, world-class photography, and of course video production, which you'll see aired across the screens over the coming days. It's great to see. I think we're only about 5 minutes away now, Lyndon, from getting our first heat of section number 3 underway, so all the best to competitors as they tackle another 5 laps of this Port Germain circuit, of course brought to you by the great Barkler family, Ian and Brenda. I know the camp, great to see. Bit of a chat out of a lot of the competitors yesterday, Lyndon. The brakes was a big issue. A lot of the competitors found themselves the last couple of laps losing the brake pedal a bit, and that sort of threw a bit of chaos. I talked to Gavin Chan about his bit of a launch over that berm as we saw to the left, and yeah, it's very interesting to hear some of the feedback of the circuit. It's a very quick circuit, I hear, and yeah, so we'll soon find out who does it best on Sunday.
I'll tell you what, this electronic trickery is out and alive. I'm sure some of these gremlins run around at night time and jump into these race cars' electrical systems there, Toby, because they certainly found their way into the commentary box here last night, causing us a little bit of a head scratch straight off the bat there. But now we're live on Facebook, on my Facebook page, or Big Bad BD's YouTube page. If you want to pass it on social media, please feel free to share it all around the planet, and we'll get this fantastic motorsport out there in front of the world as it deserves to be. Absolute top quality vehicles, crews, officials putting on a top show here at the Tough As Products Mini Pave 250. On the start line now, Stephen Brown, Naomi Brown, Brad Cheer. They'd like to thank Barossa Tilt Trays, Barossa Mini Cranes, Adelaide Aluminium Installations. It's a Chenoweth, it's a DR2, and it's a bit of a weapon there. VQ35 V6, very popular motor. 2 minutes till start. 2 minutes till start, Toby.
Yes, the countdown is well and truly on. So we saw Stephen Brown have a nice run yesterday. He's currently sitting in 10th outright, second in the sports light class. So he's got a few minutes to catch up on young Hamish Lockett, who's currently third outright, but we'll keep an eye on the battle here. Steve Brown, so all the best to Brownies Motorsport. They'll be our first vehicle off the line in the 111 Chenoweth. So we're nearly a minute away, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're on the hill, ring your friends in the township and get them out here, because we have plenty of action to unfold this morning. I reckon around that 11:30 local time here in Port Germain, we'll declare an inaugural Tough As Mini Pave 250 champion. So the first one away. So this is the first car of Heat 1 Section 3. Stephen Brown, Naomi Brown, Brad Cheer out of 10th position outright. So the starting line has been cleared, Lyndon, and we're about to get underway.
Yeah, this car, I'm pretty sure, had a bit of a collision with one of the tyre barriers there yesterday. If you have a look on the Facebook page, scroll down after you have a quiet moment, you'll be able to see some highlights there that were quickly done by Big Bad BD last night. And we've got all the crew ready to go here to go. Action Adam on camera A, Big Bad BD's out on camera B. Got a heap of stuff, but the excitement's out on the racetrack here. Stephen Brown, the nerves will be at a peak at the moment. A few deep breaths, and it's amazing the adrenaline level that skyrockets just a little bit before the start, but as soon as you get into second, third gear, things start to settle down.
So here we go, Lynn. We're about to get our trophy day here at the Mini Pave 250 underway. All the best to Brownies Motorsport, the 111 Chenoweth, about to get their 5 laps underway. Our first car to leave the line. So we'll keep an eye on the Chenoweth. Can he stay in front? Can he bring the 111 vehicle home first? The next one up is another of our side-by-side. Linen is the Ben McNamara, John Van der Land's entry. Currently find themselves sitting nicely there in 12th outright and second in the side-by-side turbo class, so they'll be pretty happy with that of their first time here at the Port Germain event.
Yeah, they'd like to thank Tumby Sandmine, Jamaica Feedlot, Nutrient, Lincoln Meats and CNC Earthworks.
And now starting out of third position here this morning and currently 13th outright and first in the Super 1650 class, Mark Taylor and Toby Hurslin in the Cobra 100 Mazda 1600cc machine. And talked to Mark at the dinner table last night. He was very happy where he is and he could easily sneak into that top 10 outright and get the class win here this morning.
Mustn't have been much water around there. He didn't clean his helmet. The Tough As product sponsored Boomer the Buggy is away.
He's got a great record here at the Port Germain across South Australia, so keep an eye on Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst there. Now on the line, Jodie Veron and Simon Herman, another of our competitors who had a great day yesterday. I believe she was in two-wheel drive for a lot of the laps there yesterday, so Tony and the team there have repaired the little Can-Am, and Jodie, I expect Jodie to really work her way through the pack there. She's currently sitting there and around that third position in the side-by-side turbo class. So all the best to the Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park team as they leave the line.
Yeah, they'd like to thank Can-Am, SBH Engineering, Light Force, Loveday 4x4 Park and Operating Online and ARB Products.
And here's another one of the season campaigners in the South Australian circuit, Lennon Hayden and Neil Vanstone, the brothers in the original race frame Joker Volkswagen powered machine. So there they're currently second in the Super 1650. A couple of minutes to catch up on Mark, so we'll keep an eye on that battle over the course of the next hour or so.
They'd like to thank Rosser Earthworks, Chook's Custom Graphics, Collins Concrete Pumping and Deck Pod.
And here was our one of our leading hopes yesterday, Andrew Miles, Tegan Miles, all the way from Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, Miles Motorsport Razorback. So really see how far these guys can work their way up through the pack today. He was on a mission there yesterday, Lyndon. Unfortunately, a flat tyre. He made the decision to come back into the pit area and get that changed. He did lose around 10 or 11 minutes on his race time, but he's starting out of position. I think he's 14th outright, so we'll keep an eye on Andrew Miles and Tegan Miles there.
Yeah, they'd like to thank Alice Hose Tech and Industrial Supplies and AHT Towing, Andrew Miles. 779's out of the way.
Heath and Michelle Whedon in a Nissan Patrol. I think they did a front axle there yesterday, late in the day. So they had a Glencoe in South Australia. They've had a couple of DNFs this year, unfortunately, the Big Desert 480 and up at Hilson. So it'd be good to see Heath and Michelle bring home the Patrol for a nice race finish here at the Mini Pave 250.
Yes, they'd like to thank the support from GT Stump Pulling, Whedon Springs Boarding Kennel, Mickey Thompson Tyres, next Ron Island.
Ron and Debbie Island there leaving the line. They had a nice couple of laps there yesterday, and they'll be very well pleased with where they are around that 17th outright out of Blinman in South Australia. The first Polaris on the circuit here this weekend, our only Polaris, of course, ZRXP 1000. He was a 2004-2005 Sayora champion. Now the Element Prodigy on the line, Lyndon, and one of our fast guys this weekend, the 85 of Nick Hicks and Christian McIntosh.
Yes, Ron Island would like to thank Scooter Round Polaris for their support, and Nick Hicks would like to thank Nick Hicks for his support in the Element Prodigy.
Helps himself out along the way. Yeah, so it's good to see the Element front out to the grid here this morning. He had a few power steering issues yesterday, but all sorted and ready to put some more seat time behind the wheel of the Element. And now I think one of our last cars away for Heat 1 here this morning, Lyndon, is the 1088 of young Blake Ridley. Broken throttle cable there yesterday, but it's great to see him back out on the track and hopefully get another 5 laps on the board there in the Rids Race Frame Joker Honda powered machine.
Yes, accelerator cable fixed, ready to go today. Proud father of his lad there, as he should be. Next on the start line, the 620 Can-Am Maverick side by side. I'd like to thank Ronco Motors Love Day 4x4 Adventure Park, and it is 620.
I think it's believe Grant winner, Taya Peak, Sam Winter. Taya did the first couple of laps yesterday, then Grant took over, and unfortunately they had some brake dramas just at the start of their third lap, so we'll keep an eye on that, but it did look like it could have been Grant in behind the wheel there of the 620. So that's all our 11 cars, Lyndon, underway for Heat 1 of Section 3. So now we'll just sort of stay tuned to see who comes home first. Of course, this is a 5-lap heat, and we'll see those guys complete their 100 kilometres of action, and then we'll see our Heat 2 of Section 3, which is our top 10 quickest cars from yesterday. We'll get underway in about an hour or so's time.
It's Grant and Sam in...
Grant and Sam.
Grant and Sam in 620 today.
Right.
Grant and Sam in the 620. Thank you to our event director for once again relaying all of the up-to-date information. If you do have any of the driver changes or anything you'd like us to mention, just come down and grab Murray or Julie Rogers, and they'll pass the information on to us. No troubles at all. Quite used to do.
50 event here this weekend, but it's also, as you mentioned, round 2 of the Tough As Motorsport Australia South Australian Off-Road Championship. And just looking down at the outright driving standings, we still have a few candidates that had a good run there at Loveday that are well and truly in the hunt. Unfortunately, we lost Tom Hicks yesterday early on, with the likes of Ben McNamara, Simon Tucker. The sort of the two fighting out. Jeff Brennan also there, who will be coming up in the next heat. So the 6-2 for the inaugural Tough As Mini Pave 250 event, also the South Australian Championship, which I believe trophies will be handed out at the Motorsport Australia dinner later in the season. Action out here already, Lyndon. We're fortunate enough here to see the cars in front of us, so I'll probably out of our vision. No, we'll get them coming back through very shortly. Stephen Brown, Ben McNamara, yeah, they should be coming in thick and fast very shortly.
We're getting Rattles Supreme up here in the commentary box. Great wind here, in other words. The sun is out. We're looking in the mid-20s for temperature around a bit after midday here today. Superb racing conditions, as you can see. Some of the cars starting to weave their way towards the end of their first lap. There's a little bit of dust out there, Toby, but looks fairly clear, I'd say, overall for all the drivers. They're all starting to gaggle. I think it's a gaggle of Can-Ams. I'm looking for a whole lot of different words there, but the mind will click into gear fairly soon.
The strong breeze that we can see out there is it's going to make a big difference out there today. So dust, I don't think should be that big of a drama if the wind picks up, especially in our quicker heat later on. But I'm really interested to see where the 135 Andrew and Tegan Moles comes back into the fray here at the start-finish complex. He started at position 6, so don't expect him to make too many inroads this lap, but I'm sure Andrew Moles, he could be a roughie to take out the heat here. And yeah, he's the clear fastest car on the circuit there in the 135 Razorback, so I'll keep a close eye on him. Jody Veron also in the 621 Can-Am, Mark Taylor, so there's lots to look forward to, lots to play out here in this first heat. Lyndon.
Oh, look, absolutely excited to be here. See these racing here. I'll say there'll be a few competitors that their eyes will widen as how fast Andrew Moles comes up behind them today. Being one of our fastest competitors, but yesterday, the fastest time, we had 2 laps in the 10-minute zone, and both of them belong to the GCR Rhino machine.
Yeah, unfortunately for Matty Curtis fans, he had some power steering dramas and put his campaign in the back book, but we'll hopefully see him back here, I'm sure, in 2023 at the Mini Pave 250. There is our first car, Lyndon, the 111 of Stephen and Naomi Brown. So we'll keep a close eye on him. He's only got a couple of Ks remaining on his opening lap. Of course, this is the first of 5 laps here this morning. Brad Cheer also down as the navigator this weekend for that crew.
Very conservative line through the U-turn there for Stephen Brown. Still easing his way into the Sunday competition. Make sure everything feels good in the car.
And we can already see it looks like a side-by-side Can-Am not too far away. That will be the 668 Ben McNamara and John van der Land. So they're making some early inroads here on Sunday morning. So I'll keep a close eye on that, of course. Regardless of where you cross on the grid, it just comes back to a lap's time. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. We see the Class 2 of the Mark Taylor heading across in front of us, and Jody Veron looks like she's making a big move there in the Can-Am, the Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park side by side. So,
but have a look who's right behind Jody Veron there. That looks very much like the Moles machine.
Andrew Moles, yeah, so he's, as I said, started out of position 6, and he's looking like he's on a bit of a fly here in the Razorback. He's 14th outright, Lyndon. What's your sort of rough estimate? How far up in the standings can he get? I reckon he can still sneak into the top 5 or 6 outright, but we'll see how that plays out, of course, with the next heat. But he's definitely a genuine quickie out there, and we'll just have to wait and see what sort of lap times he can set here. If he gets a bit of clean air, he might give it the 10.52, which is the quickest lap time, a bit of a crack here this morning.
Well, he can put himself right very high up into the top 10, no doubt. There's that flat tyre yesterday cost him about 10 minutes, which is basically about a lap here. So he's got to make up a lap. And over 5, 2 minutes faster than most people. There's every chance that he can do that today. So that might put him right into the top 10, even a top 3 position. He keeps going.
So we saw the Stephen Brown Chenoweth come home, Lyndon, there with a
we just had a car go over there. Toby.
Oh, it looks like it's the
Ben
McNamara. So he was charging very hard with a 12.51, but unfortunately it looks like he's on his side. So I'll roll over there so we can get some recovery crew down to that first corner. It's played a bit of trouble this weekend for a few of the competitors, so hopefully slow some of these guys down. So it's good to see some of our officials down there guiding those cars past, so not much of a hold up. Andrew Miles went through with an 11.31, Jody Veron with a 12.40, and unfortunately for Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst went through with a 13.01, so that's the fortunate part of that bit there. There's no hold ups, Lyndon, which is always good, and hopefully all the team, Ben McNamara, are all okay. Bit of a roll into that corner.
Yeah, we saw Big Bad BD run straight over there, the cameraman, and got a thumbs up from the crew, and that's the most important thing, of course. These cars, massive amount of safety built into the passenger driver compartment, what they wear, the construction of these roll cages. You can see this is the biggest, most dangerous time a lot of times, getting out of a vehicle that's on its side, but you can see the driver, navigator exiting the vehicle there now, so they're all okay. Good news.
That's always great to see. So unfortunately, for Ben McNamara fans, John Van der Lands, looks like their day could be over. We'll wait and see there. And the Vanstones come through, Lyndon. So Hayden and Neil in the Ridge race frame Joker Volkswagen Super 1650 with a 13.16. So still circulating nicely.
Yeah, the officials have bypassed that part of the track, making sure everyone continues on in their race. They don't have to do too much more adjustment of times. Oh, huge, big effort there. Nick Higgs really using the berm, coming up onto the yellow flag, being directed past everybody there.
So we go Nick Hicks, and there we go. So the second quickest lap time this morning of 11.49 for Nick Hicks and Christian McIntosh. So they've really wind the boost up there. The Nissan VQ 3.5 litre Element Prodigy. Of course, twin turbo powered machine. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. Heath and Michelle Whedon, Ron and Debbie Island, Blake Ridley, Grant Winter, still a few to come home on the opening lap.
Here goes Blake Ridley. Great jump there, coming in to finish his first lap. This car looking pretty quick there today, Toby. I reckon he's getting used to the handling of this car.
Yeah, you never know. Blake might find himself with a full-time gig in 2023 if he keeps the pace up. Unfortunately, he had an issue yesterday which kept him out of that. Great to see Blake Ridley back out on the track. The Whedon's still running nicely. They crossed with a 13.51, and young Blake goes third quickest with a 12.11 there in the 10.88. So a nice start for young Blake there in the Rids race frame Joker.
That's the 620 there, mate.
Yeah, it's Grant and Sam Winter, I believe, behind the wheel of the 620 Can MX3. Ronco Motors Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park. And they go fourth quickest here on lap one with a 12.21. So Grant Winters picked the pace up. And we're still just waiting for the scooter round Polaris Lyndon of Ron and Debbie Island, who's just about to cross for their opening lap.
Yeah, that side-by-side that went on its side has been recovered okay. Been taken back to the pits. Well done to all our recovery and officials there. Looking after everybody on board, no troubles at all. Normal racing resumes on the racetrack, and of course, if you're a spectator, you would have got an absolute front row view of that little bit of action there. It's a typical corner. I don't know if they were waving to the crowd or what, you know. So I used to do that a fair bit, get you in trouble.
He was on a bit of a charge, young Ben McNamara there in the 6.680. Caught Stephen Brown pretty nicely on that opening lap, and just sometimes, as you said, the emotions run a bit high and everything's sort of Sunday morning. Everyone wants to just go fast, but unfortunately, yeah, he paid the consequences there, Lyndon, and yeah, I'm not sure that could be there at weekend. We'll wait and see. If they have no damage, they might return to the circuit.
You've seen the lap times there, Toby. You're looking at 11 minutes 31 seconds for Andrew Moles, so that's probably about 20 seconds down or so what he was on for lap times yesterday. Nick Hicks not far behind, 11:49 for his first lap. Blake Ridley an 12 minute 11 second lap. And we've got a heap more in the 12s.
And all those top three competitors there, Lyndon obviously all had traffic there in the opening lap, so if they get some clean air, I expect Andrew Moles especially and Nick Hicks, Blake Ridley to really better those times in the coming laps.
Yep, so some here at the Tough As Products Mini Pave 250. Round 2 on the Motorsport Australia South Australian Off-Road Championship for 2022. Round 1 was up at Loveday at the Can-Am 400 a month or a bit ago. Wasn't that a great event?
It was definitely a cracker event, yeah. It was a fourth round, the Motorsport Australian Championship as well, so the best of the best were there at Loveday, Tony Waitley's, Toby's and Jody Vaughan's place there up in beautiful Loveday, and the second time there, and the event just continues to prosper, and I think it's going to be an event on the calendar for many years to come, hopefully for everyone involved.
Yes, well I know Tony and crew are just pushing to improve the facilities as much as they can, as much as they can afford to do, which is, you can't ask for much more there from an operating perspective. What a place to go, to hang out at the Loveday Tavern, lean on the bar and watch the race cars jumping in front of you multiple times. Not once, multiple times there.
Yeah, very unique circuit, and I think that's what a lot of the competitors do love about the Loveday terrain. They get a good test of off-road as well. The track definitely throws its challenges and does get very rough in places, but that is what it's all about. And the feedback from a lot of the competitors, I know a lot of the Australian guys was very positive, and I'm sure they'll get another strong 70-80 car field in 2023 once the calendar is released in the coming months. So there's still, we've got about 10 cars on lap 2 here, Lyndon, and we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the first of our cars, the 111 of Stephen and Naomi Brown are coming through in front of us, so we'll keep an eye on those guys.
I'm sort of doing a bit of sign language here if you can't tell. Toby, you've got to turn all the mics off or you can hear us having general conversation here. But generally, the finish line, Toby, right in front of us here, mate. And we're going to have presentations in front of the Perry's Mini Pave signage. And we'll be doing that live. And I reckon there could be half a chance we're going to send you off and interview a few of the race drivers and navigators that want to say hello.
A few of the race finishers at the front of the pack, interview our winners later on this morning, so we'll keep an eye on those. We'll wait with holding breath to who will be the first vehicle home in a couple of hours' time. Will it be Simon Tucker, Adam Burl, Trevor Snow might come through for the big outright victory. Hamish Lockett's definitely thereabouts, Brendan John, so we'll keep an eye on those guys as we unleash our second heat. I just got an SMS through from Sam Van saying to say Brad Cheer is in the 111 with Stephen Brown. So the lead car is Stephen Brown and Brad Cheer, so they're doing nicely, and we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the sweet singing Chenworth head back towards us here. Lyndon, we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, great vision coming out of the cameras this morning. Have a look at Moles, just absolutely foot to the floor.
So there you go. So that is the Andrew Moles, as you said, Tegan Moles Razorbacks. They started out of position 6 here this morning on the grid. Doesn't look like there's any vision yet of the Chenworth of Steve Brown, but Moles leads the way here on heat 1 of section 3. he needs to, really wind up the times and sort of get himself back up there. I know he's just here for an enjoyable weekend, a bit of a test for the car, the new paddle shift sort of setup he's got in the Razorback this weekend. Of course, it's only been done recently, so he'll be definitely one to watch. I know he's returning to the Millicent area for the Pines Enduro in around a month's time before unleashing the Razorback in the 2023 Australian Off-Road Championship. That is the Stephen Brown Chenoweth we see coming back towards us here. It doesn't look like he's going. Yeah, he's back going again, so maybe there might be a little bit of a drama there for the 111 of Stephen Brown and Brad Cheer, but we'll keep an eye on those guys. The second car on the road at the moment.
You just hear that BMW screaming a mile away. You've got some competition there, Wendy Salter, for the loudest machine this weekend, or loudest noise, I should say. Wendy's not a machine, she's a very lovely lady.
So here is the Moles Razorback. So to complete his second lap, so still 3 laps remaining for the Moles combination. As we said, all the way from Alice Green. Definitely the lead car there yesterday, when unfortunately a flat tyre, some dramas there, and he goes with an 11 minutes flat, 0.7 there, Lyndon, for Andrew Moles. So expect this lap to be lightning quick with some clean air.
That's faster than his laps yesterday, Toby. He's almost cracked it. What's that, 0.707 of a second away from breaking the 11-minute barrier?
So that'll be the third quickest lap of the weekend there for Andrew Moles. So stay tuned for that, and obviously he's got the clean air now, and expect this lap to be very quick. Can he beat the 10.52 of Matty Curtis yesterday? So Steve Brown and Brad Cheer look like they're still running nicely, Lyndon, here in the Chenoweth. I know you said they're relatively new to the sport, Steve Brown, so we'll keep an eye on these guys.
Yeah, superb car, the Chenoweth. Shout out to Lynn Chenoweth over there in Baja, not California, it's Mexico. He's got a tribute museum over there, Lynn Chenoweth, with a whole heap of his race cars over the years, as well as others that have brought into the Chenoweth Legacy Lodge. If you get a chance to go over there, have a look. Great place to stay. Now here comes 621. This is Jody Veron.
Simon Herman having a real red hot crack here this morning. Obviously they went in the 2-wheel drive, I believe, yesterday, and Jody said it was a bit tough going in there. The great team there of Tony and Toby Waitley, Simon Herman and the crew have done a great job to get her up and going again on 4-wheel drive. And she goes, look at that, she goes in the second quickest for the heat so far. That was a 12.26 for Jody, so she's slashed 15 seconds off her opening lap.
Yeah, well, I had a quick talk with Tony Waitley before, and he said that Jody's description was it was a bit squirrely coming out of the corners there. He said, not surprised, he actually broke one of the front drive shafts. Yeah. So it was 2-wheel drive for most of the time, so she'd done a great effort to be as fast as he was. So I think this might be a case of Tony might be losing another car to drive.
Might have to buy another one, Tony. So here goes the Nick Hicks Christian McIntosh entry. I had a good chat to Nick this morning, and he had a few power steering issues yesterday, a hole in the line, and it sort of ended his charge, but they resolved that, and he goes into second quickest for the heat. That was an 11.33.6 for Nick Hicks. So the times are getting quicker, so he's still around about a minute off the pace of Andrew Moles, but Nick Hicks is the clear second quickest car on the circuit as we stand here. So that's 4 cars completing lap 2. Blake Ridley, Grant winner, Mark Taylor shouldn't be far away. The Vanstones, Heath Whedon and Ron Island still to complete the second lap.
Geez, going quick today, isn't it, already? Time flies when you're having fun is absolutely true, and speaking of having fun at the moment, here comes the Volkswagen air-cooled number 253 of Hayden and Neil Vanstand, a Ridge racing frame joker, and you notice there's a left-hand drive too.
It is a left-hand drive, and he's having a ball out there this morning. I had a yarn to Hayden there this morning. He asked what I thought, and I said, yeah, I love the complex, love out. The Barkers have done a great job. And I said, what about you, Hayden? I said, you drive the doors off that little Super 1650. It looks like he's made a bit of a move here on Mark Taylor. I'm pretty sure Mark Taylor come through in front of the Vanstones before, so we'll keep an eye on that. Vanstone went through with a 13.08, so his quickest lap of the day. Blake Ridley's, I reckon, about to hit the horn and say, move over, Mark, please, and get out of my way. So the 10.88 is through as well. So there you go, Mark Taylor is in the pit area. So we'll keep an eye on that. So the Vanstones here might sneak back into the race for the Super 1650 title. Blake Ridley goes through with a 12.10, so he's by far the third quickest vehicle out there in the Ridge Race Frame Joker Honda 1100cc powered machine. And Mark Taylor with a 14.48, so around a minute 40 off his opening lap. So a clear issue there for Mark and Toby Hurst.
Oh, the 620 here, the Grant Winter Sam Winter machine, the Can-Am X3 absolutely leaping off the last jump there. Great deal of pace in the Can-Am. Taya Peak deciding to spectate today. Taya driving a few laps there yesterday, having a bit of a bowl. So great to see, to hear a lot of females getting into the sport there and doing a lot of racing. Just experience. You two can be right up the front. In Motorsport, there's our Nissan Patrol 779 of Heath and Michelle Whedon coming through to make their way in front of the spectators there.
And a quick lap there for the Whedons as well, and that was a 13.19, so around 32, 33 seconds quicker than his opening lap. So all the best to Heath and Michelle as they head out for their third of 5 laps here this morning. I think I can hear the sweet singing Polaris ZRX P1000 of Ron and Debbie Island also out in the distance, so we shouldn't be too far away from seeing the 6614 back. Fortunately, it doesn't look like Ben McNamara's returned to the circuit yet, and of course Mark Taylor is in the pits at the end of his second lap. But Andrew Moles with a clean air, Lyndon, can he do it? Can Andrew Moles knock off the 10.52 of Matty Curtis yesterday? And a bit of prestige at the quickest lap time here this weekend. It's always interesting for me who is the quickest, obviously the event winners as well, but it's always cool to see who sets that quickest lap time of the weekend. So we'll stay tuned for that. Nick Hicks also might wind up the boost and get home for a quick lap than his 11.33 that he set there previously. So we'll stay tuned for those as they're on their third lap here this morning.
Yes, Ron and Debbie Island over the last jump for their first, or their second lap. It's all right, the eyes will work eventually. Very experienced crew, those two. Uses a bit of a berm to help the turn. Quick wave to the spectator mound there. Still plenty of room when you get out here. Samphire Road, Port Germain, South Australia, if you've got a helicopter or a time machine. Yeah, just a little bit north of Port Germain. The last lap time there for Ron and Debbie Island, 13 minutes 57 seconds, so that's clearly 30 seconds almost faster, 28 seconds faster than their first lap or so.
Is that 668 out as well?
Have you got some news there for us, Toby?
Yeah, just a bit of news coming through. Unfortunately for the 668 team of Ben McNamara and John Vanderland, who we saw roll over in that second corner there about half an hour ago. They're out with a hole in a radiator. Obviously a few little issues there with the Can-Am Maverick, so they won't be returning to the circuit. And unfortunately for Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst fans who are leading the Super 1650 class, their weekend is over with gearbox dramas there in the Little Cobra. So that hands the clear advantage to Hayden and Neil Vanstone to take home the Super 1650 victory, but they've still got a few laps to go to achieve that. So we shouldn't be too far away, Lyndon, to seeing Andrew and Tegan Moles, who have worked their way from 6th on the grid up into first place Of course, yeah, as I said, it's really going to be interesting. Obviously, Andrew Miles, yeah, he's a long way off the leader in 11, 12 minutes now, but if you can sort of set that 11-minute flat time, I sort of worked out last night. I still think he can work his way up in around 4th or 5th outright at the end of the weekend. Obviously, with issues there, he could still find himself sneaking onto the podium spot, so it's going to be really cool to see how that plays out over the next couple of hours or so. But yeah, by far the quickest vehicle on the track at the moment.
Yeah, definitely going to put the pressure on the next competitors in the next heat, knowing what time they're going to have to beat that Andrew Miles will set here. If you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, you can see them coming back in front of us now. Absolutely flying over the jump there. This car looking and sounding fantastic today. Everything's sorted, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's got it dialed in. As he said, he missed a few little gears there. He's still getting used to the new paddle shifter setup there on his steering wheel, which very unique style to set up, and I'm sure a lot of the competitors might lean towards that in the future. But we'll keep a close eye on Andrew and Tegan Miles. And I was actually up at calling the Gundawindi 400 Linden a couple of weekends ago, and I was fortunate enough to call home, of course, Brent Martin, the Victorians, to their second outright victory of the season up there in Gundawindi. But there was also a big mover, and that's what I sort of like about this with Andrew Miles, Michael Marson, and I know you've seen him race over the years from up in North Queensland. He started in 17th position on the Sunday at Gundawindi and finished in 3rd place, so can be done. Obviously there's always a drama or two out there on a Sunday on trophy days. The champagne gets ready to be cracked open. There's always some cars moving and shaking, but we'll keep an eye on that. So Andrew Miles and Tegan Miles not too far away from completing their 3rd lap. Hopefully no commentator's curse.
I'm not saying anything about his gearbox changing at all today. All that excessive fuel getting into exhaust pipes, creating a bit of a cracking burble explosions there. You know that motor is pushing out maximum horsepower when you start to hear fuel not being unburnt fuel getting through.
He's having a nice Sunday out here, Lynn. I just heard on the recovery that the 256 of Mark Taylor might be going to attempt another lap there in the Little Cobra, so be good to see those guys back out on the circuit. We'll have to stay tuned for that. I just might hear the little Super 1650 starting up in the distance over in the pit area, so we'll hopefully get those guys back on the track. Mark Taylor is going to try his luck back out there on his 3rd lap.
Yeah, no doubt. The Tough As products being in full use at the moment, getting underneath that car, keeping all of these prickles around the pits here and out of the close of all of the helpers diving underneath to tickle the gearbox. Because sometimes they can just lock in gear and just need a thump in the right direction, and I'm pretty sure he's running a combi box in that one.
So you can see the gap Linden that Miles combination have pulled on the rest of the field. We see Steve Brown and Brad Cheers still doing nicely there, the second vehicle. And there you go, Andrew Miles with a 10.58, so by far his quickest lap of the event by a couple of seconds or so, but still 6 seconds off the pace that was set yesterday by Matt Curtis. So still 2 laps to break the record there for Andrew Miles, so stay tuned for his next lap time.
He's giving himself every chance to get back into the outright positions here. Pretty close at the front would have been for outright if everybody kept going, but that's the exciting part of off-road racing. There's always the chance of a problem slowing a competitor, just a slow puncture in the tyre. A lot seems to be a lot of people suffering power steering issues here, surprisingly, this weekend. Not always a big problem, but the A-arm cars, the amount of suspension travel on those front ends now is quite significant. So there's a lot of force going through these power steering systems compared to the old days where you could just run a standard steering box with no assistance at all. These have to do a huge amount of work to steer these big tyres on the front of these cars as well. A lot of weight there to deal with. So 111 of Stephen Brown comes through, thanks to Barossa Tilt Trays, Barossa Mini Cranes. Chooks. Adelaide Aluminium Installations, and his lap time was 12 minutes and 30 seconds for the 111. Now, coming into view now, Nick Hicks, look at him, throwing the car around the place. The car dancing from left to right there. Hopefully he hasn't had any return of any power steering worries, because his lap time was pretty good, 11 minutes 27 seconds.
You get the email about Mark Taylor's gone back out. Mark Taylor's gone back out, stuck in gear. Second gear, just trying to circulate to get points.
The 256 of Magic Mark Taylor is back on track. Now the issue is that second gear is the only gear the gearbox wants to allow Mark to select. So he's going to circulate in second gear the whole track. So be pretty interesting to see how many points he can gain from the outright positions, because he is battling with Hayden and Neil Vanstone for the Class 2 Super 1650 title, and that's great determination there for Mark. He normally wouldn't probably push a gearbox like that.
Yeah, I was going to say later in the season, but yeah, hopefully no more damage is done. But yeah, it is going to be a long, tough 3 laps there, stuck in second gear, that's for sure. You'll hear that screaming over in the background very shortly. So we've had a couple more come through. As you said, Nick Hicks has had a nice lap. He went 11.27, so that'll be his quickest lap of the weekend. Jody Veron sitting there nicely in 3rd position for the heat, and Stephen Brown, Brad Cheer in 4th position. Blake Ridley there threw in the race frame Joker, setting a couple of quick.
He's looking pretty fast today, Toby.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him yesterday, and obviously his father Matt's run the car for a couple of years now, but he's right back in the groove, and he's setting some quick lap times. And Blake Ridley goes 3rd quickest for the heat. First heat of section 3 with a 12.07.5. So yeah, Blake Ridley doing the team proud, and Hayden and Neil Vanstone go through their 6th quickest for the heat with a 13.04, but I reckon they're just about to get pipped by Grant and Sam Winter, who come flying through behind them in the 620 Can-Am X3. So we'll stay tuned for that. Yeah, and there you go, Grant Winter goes 4th quickest, just behind there of Blake Ridley with a 11.58.9. So still awaiting the...
Yes, the Winter versus Brendan battle in the X3. They're almost identical looking cans. It's been fantastic over the last year or two. And it just shows you old Grant, he's been lending the car out this weekend, jumped back in and absolutely giving it heaps. Super tough, these Can-Ams. Side-by-sides in general. Great way to get into the sport. Toby, if you have the time to work, but not the time to work on your car, you can just order these parts. The dealers being involved is just an absolute dream. Off-road races a long time ago, you were hoping for manufacturer support in terms of Ford, Holden, Chevy, all those sort of people, but now you've got all of the Can-Am, Polaris, Yamaha, Honda, and you have a look at Speed Energy Drink with Robbie Gordon making his race car side by side. So fantastic future for the sport, because there's just so many people able to afford to buy them, and have got a shed space and some tools and spanners, and get onto SBH Engineering, you'll make your roll cage. So many good manufacturers out there, and modifications for future years to be able to keep these vehicles going. And as long as you can cope with left-hand drive, it's all good.
You're laughing, yeah. And it's great to see, obviously, Kinchrome's a major supporter, obviously, of the side-by-side Motorsport Australia Off-Road Championship, which we see at the ORC rounds. They do a lot of, as you said, promotional sort of activities, and I was watching them closely at Loveday, and they do a great thing for the sport. And it's not only just the side-by-sides, but they also, try to get into the off-road field as well. So we'll keep an eye on that moving into the future. So we're still waiting for Mark Taylor, Toby Hurst, Ron Linden. Oh, that's some bad news there for the Whedon Racing. Heath and Michelle Whedon in the 779 Patrol. It's got down, did not finish with an engine drama. So they will take home the production four-wheel drive silverware, obviously the sole representative in their class here this weekend. But after a bit of bad luck yesterday with a broken axle that did slow down their times, they have unfortunately exited the event there with a engine drama. So some more bad luck for the Whedons.
Hard luck. They were going well. They're doing some great pushing the suspension to its limit, being a near stop four-wheel drive. Some great rebound bouncing over a few of the jumps here. They're definitely not shy in pushing the vehicle to its limits, and that's what it's all about. Do it here on a racetrack. If you're going to push any car to its limit, safety, you can see how quickly officials and everybody went over to make sure the driver and navigator combination in the side-by-side rollover were fine. Well trained to look after you here, and with the recent, you might not have seen the Hoon laws are introduced here, going to be starting through to stop people doing burnouts on the streets and everything. You'll lose your licence instantly.
Yeah, right.
Come out here, earn your off-road licence. Not that hard. Want to find out whether you can handle it or not? There's plenty of places to do that. Off-road Rush around the country, plenty of franchises. Shared out to the Westerns up there in Queensland. And if you're local here, off-road is available at Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park. They've got rally cars as well. Go up there to spend the whole weekend, but the hot laps, get Toby or Tony to take you for a hot lap. $50 for a lap that you will never forget. Absolutely sensational, and you can then decide, like a lot of guys that are racing here today, I like this, I'm going to go buy a car and race.
Take your swag, and here's Surreal up there at the Loveday Tavern. Here's the Island combination, Lyndon, Ron and Debbie, so they're going to complete their third lap. So two laps remaining for the side-by-side Sport Polaris there, so they're still doing nicely, and they'll go into 8th position here for the heat, and they go through with a 14.15 for the Island, so still moving nicely. So our lead car not too far away, Lyndon, from coming back through for the final time. So if you want to take a quick snap or video of the talented Andrew and Tegan Miles, get your cameras out on the spectator hill, because Andrew Miles is coming back towards us here in a hurry. He's only got one lap remaining after this, so keep an eye on the Miles. What time can they do? They did a 10.58 in the previous lap, so if they can better that or not, he's still up in the air, but he's putting down some serious speeds as he launches into that jump, and he'll swing it in the left hand. I'll tell you what, he's got some pace into this corner here, Lyndon. He rides the berm.
Oh, he's right over the berm.
I was going to say that was by far the quickest he's come into that corner, and nearly took one of your brother's cameras out, but he missed it. Andrew Miles, that might be a different sort of a way to take that corner, but we'll still get a lap time for him, and he's down as another 10.58.7. So basically identical time from lap 3 for Andrew Miles. But as we said, he's still doing his outright chances, still no hopes, and you just never know. I don't know if Andrew's going to stay around for the presentation. I'm sure he might, but we'll just have to keep an eye on the times there and see where he can finish up in the standings with another lap on the board there.
Yeah, that BMW motor sounding super sweet. Definitely giving himself every chance to get back up into the outrights there. Can't do much more than what he's doing, and I think he's passed every car, and he's starting to catch up on the Polaris, so be a little bit of dust to deal with, but otherwise than that there, he's having a ripper run here on Sunday. He's probably enjoying it because there is a little less dust with the other competitors being fast, putting a lot more dust into the air. It does hang for a little while. The wind's not super strong here today, but it is being very effective for these first heat. You can probably see some recovery vehicles flags out there flying in the wind, giving us a bit of an indication of direction.
I also see Lyndon here, unfortunately for your man Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst, it's Julie Rogers has posted on the official Tough As Mini Pave 250 timing section 3 heat 1 results that he's under tow as we speak. So sounds like he didn't get too far, or decided that enough was enough and we'll save it for the next event. So unfortunately that will be, looks like it will be the end of the weekend for the little Cobra of Mark Taylor.
Yeah, it's sad to think. Saw his normal navigator, and I'm sure that's going to be the real reason. He didn't have Ryder.
Didn't have his son Ryder.
Yeah,
in
well,
there,
I
yeah.
saw a picture of Ryder there at the rugby last night with the rest of the family. So I'm sure once Ryder's back in the car, and I know there's another little thing that he puts on the back, it's streamers or bunting. He didn't have any bunting on today, and that's probably another thing that's caused him a bit of concern, I'd say, old Mark Taylor.
Here he comes back through here, so he's not on the toe, but yeah, he's definitely not at race pace, and by the sound of that in the back of the little cobra, there could be some, yeah.
Well, that's making some major differential noises right there.
So that'll be the end of the week of Mark Taylor's campaign. Might have to have a chat with Ryder Linden, his priorities, mate. Might have to get them back in order. Obviously, choosing the rugby over the off-road racing, but
yeah, I'm sure there's some backstory to that one. But Ryder even jumped in at Love Day there with Connor Corrigan, brought him home in the Super 1650 class. So he does bring good luck, Ryder.
I see Connor Corrigan's entered the next round of the ORC at Rainbow up there next weekend at the Rainbow Desert 560 Enduro. So he'll be one to watch there in the Super 1650 class. So yeah, unfortunately so far we still have the 8 cars circulating here for Heat 1. We've lost the Whedon combination in the patrol, Mark Taylor and Toby Hurst, and of course Ben McNamara and John Vanderland went over there on the second lap. So our second car coming through Linden is the Hicks combination, Nick Hicks and of course Christian McIntosh in the Element Prodigy Nissan VQ35 twin turbo machine. So it looks like that might be another quick lap for Nick Hicks, and he starts his final 20 kilometres. So I'm pretty sure he'll be stoked with where he sits. And that was 11:36, so only a few seconds off the pace of that last. He would have got past a couple more vehicles on that lap. So all the best to Nick Hicks as he commences his final 20 kilometres of action here this weekend.
Hasn't his first heat absolutely flown? Speaking of flying there's the brown machine, the 111. Definitely you can see the residue from the mud on this machine there, covering the roof numbers, and the roof's still dirty. Not a lot of water here to clean the cars between heats. Some people don't want to touch it, just in case something goes wrong. Water gets into the wrong area.
Yeah, so he's having another nice run here today, Lyndon. Steve Brown and Brad Cheer there in the Brownies Motorsport Chenwood. So they crossed there with a 12:44. So yeah, slipping into third quickest for the heat. With a few cars still to come in. Blake Ridley's been setting some quick lap times. Grant Winter, Jody Veron, Hayden Vanstone. So there's still a lot to play out here on heat 1 of section 3, and then we're not too far away, I'm sure, from getting our starters orders for the heat number 2, which is our top 10 quickest cars from yesterday. Of course, led out by Simon Tucker and Riley Skinner in the next gen Southern Cross machine. So we'll keep an eye on those guys lining up to the grid as we see the first of our side-by-side turbos crossing through the line. Jody Veron and Simon Herman, so things are all running smoothly there for Jody. Of course, our first female driver here this morning to come through to complete lap 4, the 12:43, so she'll be very consistent times there for Jody.
Oh, I don't think Tony or Toby got much chance of getting that car back. That is looking pretty good, but you can come and take that off of Jody. That's the car you can go in a hot lap in and be taught to drive up there at Loveday. So I know that Tony's pretty excited, just like an expected father, of course. Just that type of reaction, just like expected father here, the Ridley clan.
Yeah, another one of our next generation competitors. I talked to Blake there quickly yesterday afternoon. It was his first competitive drive in his father's sports lot machine, and yeah, doing great things out there today. And of course, he had some quick lap times yesterday, and he goes through in 11:51, so by far his quickest lap of the weekend. So he commences his final 20 kilometres and sitting in third position, knocking Jody Veron and Stephen Brown into 4th and 5th respectively here for the opening heat.
Yeah, definitely another case of I parked that buggy in the shed, Dad, where you told me, but it's not there, son. Oh, I don't know. It might be in the trailer still. You just never know. No, I think the Ridley clan be quite happy to build another one. Quite a few Rid Racing frame Jokers frames kicking around out there now. You got the only left-hand drive one here, as far as I know, as in the Vanstone machine. Why is it left-hand drive? Because his old car that he bought from the States and shipped over here was left-hand drive. Unfortunately, that decided it wanted to return to its base metals and caught fire and melted out there at Waggery. The guys received some injuries to put them in hospital, but the off-roaders are tough as, just like tough as product, and recovered fully. As you can see, both the brothers back out there ripping it up there, and they'll be pretty excited with Mark Taylor pulling in the pits there. What a competition between the 256 and the 253 all season. Really enjoying this. And speak of the devil,
Here they are, the Vanstones, Hayden and Neil Vanstone. So I reckon another lap on the board here. That'll nearly lock in the their Super 1650 class win here for the weekend. Obviously a lap up on Mark Taylor as they go through for their fourth lap. So they'll be pretty happy with where they are there. Of course, unfortunately lost the veteran Dougie Carter yesterday with a gearbox failure, so they'll take home third position. Also got down here for Grant and Sam Winter in the 620 Can-Am X3 Maverick. They've stopped with a belt drama, so I'll probably try and replace that and head back to the circuit there on their fourth lap. So a 13.11 there for Hayden and Neil Vanstone to go 6th quickest for the heat. So I think we're just waiting for Grant Winter and Ron Island to complete lap 4, and then all cars should be on their final lap for the heat. Lyndon.
yeah, just a bit of a notification. If you're in the pits and you're in the next heat, might be a good idea to jump in your car and start warming up and heading over towards the dummy grid, please. Definitely the dust is a lot thicker than yesterday there, Toby. The area here, very close to the beach, ancient sea floor, very flat. You can just imagine the sea lapping up towards the hills behind us here, the beautiful Flinders Ranges of South Australia. Sandfire Road is where we are here, a lot of sandfire bushes, natural to the area here.
Just
Holding all the sand in place. Just really looks good there. Not a lot of trees to look at out here.
Just had some news there, Lyndon, on our recovery channel. Just some provisional news that the 111 of Stephen Brown and Brad Shear have stopped at recovery 1. Obviously not sure of the issue, but it sounds like they've stopped at the side of the circuit. So we'll keep you some more news with those guys. Obviously our third video. And here is our lead car, Lyndon. So Andrew Moles is well and truly on his way to completing the opening heat here in style. He's had some great lap times here, so we'll keep an eye on those guys. So only a few kilometres left for the Moles combination. Their Port Germain debut here at beautiful on the Flinders Ranges. So yeah, unfortunately it sounds like Stephen Brown and Brad Shear, his weekend is over. I heard they're going to try and drive it back to the pit area, so it sounds like a steering issue there. So a DNF for the 111. Unfortunately there, they were going so well. They're looking at a class podium and probably a top 10 or 12 finish there for Steve Brown, Brad Shear. But that, as we said, is the nature of the beast of off-road racing. So that is their weekend over there, unfortunately, for the 111 crew. So we're still, as I said, waiting for the Ron and Debbie Island to come through, and Grant and Sam Winter, who have stopped to change a belt by the look of our official records.
How fast is this machine? The 135 Pro Light Razorback buggy all the way from Alice Springs. Winning their last lap, thanks to Alice Hose Ticket Industrial Supplies and AHD Towing.
Yeah, great work to Andrew Moles, and he'll be very stoked with his Sunday's efforts here. And we get a time, another 10.58. So there you go, 3 in a row, 10.58
Wow.
for Andrew Moles. So take a bow, Andrew, and his daughter Tegan in the navigator's seat. So as I said, he'll be back in South Australia in only a few weeks' time for the Pines Enduro down there at beautiful Millicent, Lyndon. But he'll be very happy with his weekend work here, and without the flat tyre, who knows, he could have definitely been our Mini Pave 250 champion.
Well, he's definitely on the pace. There's no question about that at all. To be consistently under the 11 minute barrier per lap here shows that he's definitely got it in the memory banks, this track, looking for every fast part that he can, and with the deterioration of the track out there, to maintain those consistent times, you have to go faster every lap. It's not easy. The track does make things harder. The sand, as everyone knows, really hot, dry sand.
Yeah.
It's hard to walk through. It's hard to get dry on your tyres, and that's what the track does. It breaks down to smaller micron-sized sand pieces.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic effort to get consistent lap times that Andrew Moles has done.
So we have seen Andrew Moles, Lyndon, so he's the first car this weekend to complete full 240 kilometres, the 12 laps of the Port Germain circuit. He goes in with a 2 hours, 27 minutes, 24 seconds. So that is the time of the beat. So currently, Andrew Moles is our race leader, but there's still plenty to unfold here. Of course, losing Stephen Brown. We've lost a few in this heat, Lyndon, which is quite surprising. We've actually lost nearly half the field so far. So hopefully Grant Winner to get back on track, and we still haven't seen Ron and Debbie Island come through for their 4th lap, so we'll stay tuned for those guys to come through.
Yes, well, it's quite good for Ian Barclay, knowing that a lot of people say it was a pretty relatively smooth looking track. Well, it's a tough track, and there's no doubt about it, as is proven here this weekend with so many power steering issues. Gearbox issues is usually the #1 thing, but not this weekend. Power steering.
And here's another good story for the weekend for me, Lyndon. One of the veterans of the circuit. I met Ron for the first time there yesterday, and he's still circulating very nicely. Is Debbie Ron's daughter in the navigator seat? Yeah, father and daughter combination there in the 6614. So still circulating nicely, and they went through with another 14.15. So consistent times there for the scooter around Polaris, and Ron and Debbie start their final lap of the 2022 Tough As Mini Pave 250, and the excitement does build up now, Lyndon, because we're not too far away from seeing Simon Tucker and Riley Skinner launch off the line in fury to commence our final heat of racing for the weekend. And as I said, around 11:30 local time, we'll be able to declare a official Tough As Mini Pave 250. It doesn't matter what event you are, what discipline, it's always good to salute the champions. Of course, in our great sport, we've got class champions as well, which are all worthy recipients, and that's always good to keep an eye on those battles as well. But everyone obviously dreams of that outright victory in any type of discipline and level of motorsport. So there's definitely a title to be won here this morning.
And if you want to get a half a clue, if you're at home there, offroadracing.com.au, get onto their online page and press on the link to the event here.
So here's our second car, Lyndon, the Nick Hicks Christian McIntosh Element Prodigy, the Kalgoorlie champions from 2021. So the pressure's definitely on those guys. They head across the Nullarbor in a couple of months' time to defend their Kalgoorlie title. Of course, that was in a Can-Am Maverick. Extraordinary result that was. And some great news there for Nick Hicks and Christian McIntosh. They finished their Tough As Mini 250 campaign with an 11.20. So yeah, about 7 seconds bettering their quickest lap time. So some good news there. So they will definitely be our second quickest car of the first heat here this morning.
Bit of an indicator too there for us, Toby, that they were 2 minutes 19 seconds behind Andrew Moles.
For those 5 laps, yeah.
For 5 laps. So
that just shows you the pace of Andrew Moles. Yeah, he set the Port Germain circuit a lot here this morning, Lyndon, and I'm sure we're about to see another couple of our quick cars, the Tucker Burl, Trevor Snow, do likewise. Hamish Lockett, that's an interesting story. Young Hamish finds himself in 3rd outright, heading into the final 5 laps here this morning. So we'll keep an eye on the full tilt racing sports light machine, starting at position 3.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of cheering and carrying on there from the sprint freight and logistics crew up there at Wakery and their various other depots around the place. Hamish Lockett looking pretty proud there. He photos of him and his girlfriend in the previous event holding the trophies and the silverware, so every chance he'll be able to do that again this weekend. Another Wakery local, Riverland local definitely. team of Ridge Racing Frames. Matt Ridley handing over to Blake this weekend. He's been developing this car over the last few years, confidently handing it over to the next generation, and he's doing a great job out there. And it looks like we had Can-Am back on track here as well.
Yeah,
well, this could be Jody actually.
We've got two that look very identical. Of course, the Grant and Sam Winter Can-Am, which is the 620, and then the 621 of Jody Veron and Simon Herman there. So Jody's on her final lap, and the Winter combination will come through. They're down as a stop for a belt, but it looks like they could be back in motion, so they'll cross for a last lap board. So it hasn't been Grant Winter's greatest weekend on the track, but I'm sure they'll do their best endeavour to complete full distance here this morning. So but it is the Blake Ridley entry, the third car. He really launches off that final jump there. He's really impressed me this weekend, Lyndon. I'm sure he'll be one to watch for you, definitely over the South Australian circuit in the coming years, young Blake. And he's going to cross. He's the third vehicle home here for Heat 1.
Yes, congratulations to the Ridge Racing Frame Joke. It's a Honda CBR 1100cc machine, in case you're wondering. And I reckon this is the Can-Am SBH Engineering Light Force Loveday 4x4 Park Off-Roading Online ARB Can-Am Maverick X3 of
Jody and Simon Herman are in the house, so congratulations down there to the Loveday Park team. They go through with a 12.52, so they are clear fourth quickest here this morning, and they go in behind Blake Ridley, who goes into position 3. Grant Winter, obviously with the stopover on the track, did a 23.28 there for the 620, so he commences his final lap of the event. But there's some great news there for Jody Veron, so they cross in position 4, and we'll get some outrights as we stand. I know all provision obviously with our first heat only on the way, but that puts Jody Veron at the moment in second outright behind Andrew Miles. So
wow.
Nick Hicks is in third. Obviously, he had that power steering drama, and Blake Ridley with his own dramas yesterday in third and fourth, respectively.
And the 620 went through there. That's Grant Winter, 23 minutes 28 seconds. So they've changed that belt very quickly.
Yeah.
Of course, as any engineer will tell you, as the Brown machine comes in on the recovery over here, Toby, that you've got to build a weak point into any system. So if something is going to break, you want that something to be close to where you can repair it. So for instance, in my old days, using a standard Volkswagen front end, used to use thicker tie rod than standard, a little bit wider, but they were a thinner wall, so they were designed to bend rather than break the link pin, king pin or stub axle area in the front end that takes the biggest impacts, or the first impacts. So Can-Am has built in the weak point as being their belt. So if something's going to break, you can easily change that, and that's just been proven today. You must practice these things. You're taking this seriously, and they've done a great job to change a belt, get back in and out of the car in 10 minutes. That's a pretty awesome effort.
So not good news there, as we mentioned before, for Steve Brown and Brad Shear, Lyndon. Unfortunately, their weekend is probably nothing worse than breaking on that final lap of an event. Though, as I said, nature of the beast, and I'm sure they'll be back in the Chenoweth DR2 Nissan VQ35 in the future. So some commiserations there to Brownie's Motorsport. So we've had the 4 race vehicles home for Heat 1, and the next one through, and these will be our Super 1650 champions here for the Mini Pave 250. Hayden and Neil Vanstone. So if you're a Vanstone crew, get up off your feet, because you're meant home and hose for a class victory. So they'll be very happy with that. The 5351 Motorsport Ridge race frame Joker, and they go into 5th quickest for the heat with a 13.08. And as we currently stand, as I said, with 10 cars remaining, they are sitting in 3rd position outright, sneaking in there behind Andrew Moles and Jody Veron there for after the completion of Heat 1 Section 3.
And they'd like to thank Barossa Earthworks, Chook's Custom Graphics, Collins Concrete, Pumping and Deck Pod for the support of the Vanstones. Super 1650 winners there. I'm sure the first person to congratulate them will be Mark Taylor in the 256. So great sportsmanship showed by every competitor here. So the dust clouds decreasing out there. You can probably see the wind starting to pick up a little bit of dust. That's not an invisible race car going over the final jump. That's just some dust genies creating a bit of a show out there. Mother Nature tidying up the track as soon as you've driven over it. I'm sure the Barclays will be back out here in their heavy machinery, just tidying up a few corners, getting the track back into as good a shape as they can possibly do. They put in a couple of new sections out the back in the trees, which worked out to be pretty effective for most competitors there yesterday. As you can see on our GoPro camera, absolutely beautiful conditions out here. Clouds being feathered by some very high winds up tall, so no chance of any participant rain today. One thing definitely guaranteed is a lot more exciting action here, as we can see the 10:35 on screen if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Of course, the camera's working itself there, such as the attraction of the Navigator and the 10:35 Sports Light. Of course, I'm talking about Ian Budgie Langsford, the world's greatest navigator, and Fink Poster Boy is on board. Yes, you can see him warming up the car there. Gavin Chart has been elected his driver of choice. He likes the Southern Cross vehicle, but you can see Ian Budgie Langsford there just casually making sure the coast is clear for an effective warm-up. He has the sense to be able to feel if the tyres are at the correct pressure, if the gearbox is at the right temperature. He doesn't rely on gauges, it's all just second nature. So the Southern Cross Mark IV, built by Tony Dawn, up Happy Valley Way. Tony Dawn, for people interested, used to be one of the original racers here in South Australia, racing the 70s onwards, more or less. Was part of the Shell West Lakes team for many years. Days Plant Hire as well, when they had a 7-car team back in the 90s. Used to look pretty impressive rocking around with a full car transporter with every make and model of off-roader on the back of the Days Plant Hire machine back in the day. And Tony decided to build a new car, and that took him a lot of years because he learned how to do combi gearboxes from Andrew Squizzy Taylor down there at Volks Auto Parts. And he got involved with doing gearbox after gearbox after gearbox, and is still doing that today. So if you want to get your gearbox done, Volks Auto Parts.
When
Well, those of you that remember the live transmission I did from Wanaka here, you remember everybody lining up at the start finish line or entry to the pits there to congratulate Ron Ireland in the Polaris for completing event distance. He couldn't quite make it with a couple of other events previously, but it looks like he's going to do it again this year. So I'm sure all of the fans up there in Blinman a little bit north from here, very remote area of South Australia, one of the last places in Australia to get electricity. And he's been a sheep grazier up there for many, many years. So I don't know if he worked by candlelight in the shed there working on his old Southern Cross Mark III, but the Polaris is definitely giving him the thrills that he's after here, the full adrenaline load that can fix many problems in your system there. So
back in the day.
Here he comes, Ron Ireland in the scoot-around Polaris.
One of the good stories of the weekend for me, and obviously he'll sit himself in around that 6th position for the heat here, Lyndon, and of course take home the side-by-side sport, which is the naturally aspirated side-by-side class, the 6.6 on the roof there, the 6.614. And yeah, it's always great to see one of the older campaigners of our circuit here in South Australia, Ron and Debbie Ireland, come through for consecutive race finishes in the South Australian circuit. So congratulations to Ron.
You're guilty.
He'll be very happy with that. Thumbs up, hands in the air. So congratulations to Ronnie Ireland, bringing home his little scooter around Polaris, and he'll sit in there around 6th position for the heat, and he'll take home his class win. So I think we're just still waiting on that one car, Lynn. I just want to make an announcement for officials that after the last car finishes Heat 2, which is the next lot of cars out on the circuit, there'll be a presentation down in front, right on the start line in front of the Mini Pave 250 in Perry's banners here. Murray Rogers said around 10 minutes post the last car finishing, so please stay around for the presentation. Yeah, they're going to try and get that done as quickly as possible. So once the last car finishes Heat 2, which is our next our quick 10 cars from yesterday, complete their 5 laps, we'll do our presentation 10 to 15 minutes post that last car completing. So please stay around for the Tough As Mini Pave 250 presentation, which will be 10 minutes prior post the final car finishing the event, Lyndon.
Yes, presentation's always a fun thing. We'll be going live with the presentation. We're going to be sending Toby Cooper around to talk with a few drivers and navigators as well. But hasn't this first heat just absolutely flown? This is 6 competitors home so far. This will be our last one, the Grant Winter, Sam Winter Ronco Motors Loveday 4x4 Adventure Park Can-Am X3. Absolute weapon. Just put them in drive and mash the accelerator, and you can go as fast as what you're seeing on screen here at the moment. Ronco Motors certainly putting together a lot of top quality race cars for plenty of people that want to get involved with the sport. Royden Bailey handing over his Can-Am to his son Lockie, and he did great things in that car at Loveday recently. Super fast. Was lucky enough to see how proud Royden was at Manham a couple of years ago when Lockie took over on the Sunday and brought the car home for an outright victory. Yep. Where they just chuffed about that.
So we just saw obviously the first heat completed there, Lyndon, and so the top 5 obviously without our top 10 quickest cars from yesterday. Andrew Miles leads the way. Jody Veron and Simon Herman in 2nd position. The Vanstone brothers, Hayden and Neil, find themselves in 3rd outright. Nick Hicks, Christian McIntosh, and there he is, Ron Ireland and Debbie Ireland in 5th outright before the commencement of our final heat. So that's just a bit of an update there with the outright standings. Of course, these 10 cars are obviously quicker than the cars we just saw out there yesterday. Issues along the way for some of the cars in Heat 1, but that is all part of the battle. That is off-road racing. So here we go, Lyndon. We're not too far away from seeing our Section 3 Heat 2 underway, and there is only 12 seconds between the front runners, Simon Tucker, all the way from Streaky Bay in South Australia. The Tucker fans are, I didn't realise till only a couple of days ago that Simon's father was a big part of the off-road circuit many moons ago. So yeah, it's great to see the family tradition going. I know Simon's son Kyle, who's actually playing in the AFL final down at Streaky Bay today, he usually navigates. I'm sure he's keen to get behind the wheel as well. But Great to see Simon Tucker right at the front of the pack here. He's got a 12-second buffer on the second car running well. Starters orders, Lyndon, so we're not too far away from seeing the Southern Cross Next Gen machine of Simon Tucker lead us off for the first and final time.
Yeah, they'd like to thank SC Tucker Transport, Gulf Western Oils and Southern Cross. Of course, the Strawbridge Clan and Southern Cross Next Gen. Nissan VQ35 about to give the bitumen a bit of a burn.
So here we go, all the best to Tucker Motorsport, Simon and Riley Stewart in the Navigators seat. So much to play out for. It's 100 kilometres of action, and the next one up is another one of our South Australian regulars, Lyndon. You know these guys pretty well, Adam 12 and Norrie Birmingham, the Jimco 2000 series, Chev LS2 V8 powered machines, Jet Tech Racing. He's had a couple of second outrights at the Menem Enduro, but I'm sure he wants that top spot here at the Mini Pave 250. Yeah,
Luke Ersick been tuning onto this machine, thanks to Jet Tech Performance, of course. Absolute character, these two. If you like to party hard and have a good laugh, just knock around these guys at the campfire. They know how to party. He's moved up to Manham there. He likes the Murray River, and he loves this Jimco he's got now.
So now, obviously, on the line is the 158, Trevor Snow and Darren Josie Pryor. These guys currently in fourth outright in the standings, and obviously the starting times here go in section 2. So all the best to Trevor and Darren there in the S&F race frames, Mark 1 Mitsubishi powered machine.
Yes, they'd like to thank Trev's Labour Service and Westpac Bank for their support in getting them on the racetrack today. And next, another local team from just down the road here near Warnertown, Northern Grain. Yeah, big farmers down there. Brendan navigated for the Gataletters in the Jimco.
So he's got his own Southern Cross here, and he's going very nicely. Currently he finds himself in fifth outright, only around 20 or 30 seconds off a podium. So it is really close here, Lynn, and obviously the top two are really sort of made a bit of a gap to the rest of the field. But the third and final spot as we stand is hotly contested. The 1071 now rolls up. Wait for his Hamish Lockett here.
Yeah, well, unique vehicle, this one. Spends a lot of time maintaining the freight and logistics vehicles.
He finds himself in third outright, so starting out at P5, but third outright in the official standings here from offroadracing.com.au. So we'll keep an eye on the 1071 of Hamish Lockett.
Yeah, they'd like to thank Sprint Freight and Logistics, Shill Auto Parts and Rids Racing Frames.
And in sixth outright yesterday was the Jimco Chev L98 V8 6 litre of Cy Heath Slip Lyndon. I haven't seen Cy race before, but you know a fair bit about him from back in the early days.
Yes, Carlton Motors on a supporter, was a Volkswagen Subaru dealer for many, many years. I'd like to thank them, as well as Adrian Gardner Electrical, Jedi Productions and Mini Pave.
Here we go, the first of our production two-wheel drive vehicles, the Ford SPH Ranger of Michael Shipton and Paul Cholton on the line, the 585. And get ready to hear it all, ladies and gentlemen, because he is one of the highly supported competitors across the nation.
Yeah, so apologies if you were having a bit of trouble online hearing Toby. We'll just turn his mic back on.
So Shipton and Chorlton away, Lyndon, currently seventh outright. The 623, Jeff Brennan now on the line.
Yes, well, the performance two-wheel drive of Michael Shipton, I'd like to thank Business Books today. Stopper Paint and Panel, SPH Engineering, Delco Constructions.
So Jeff Brennan and Brett Beattie, another one of our crews. They're really up there high in the South Australian Motorsport Australia Championship. So it's really going to come down, I believe, to Mr. Jeff Brennan and Simon Tucker for the top gong, so we'll keep an eye on that. Gavin Chant isn't too far away, but now on the line is another one of our Port Augusta crews, and you've seen this legend run a few times around this circuit, Lyndon. It is the
Jamie and his sister Naomi. I'd like to thank Mini Pave, Century US of Port Augusta. We're getting this machine. He's missing the front guards. They were on the vehicle yesterday. I did see a bit of video to show that they were there, but he was getting pretty close to some trees and some bunting, but
Broken front diff yesterday too, I believe. So only 2-wheel drive today, so running as a trophy truck, but that's all good. Now on the line is a 10.35 of Gavin Chantney and Langford, the budgie, in the navigator seat in the Southern Cross Mark IV, starting at a position 10 here this morning. Budgie's already got the go, Gav, so they had a few brake issues yesterday, and also I reckon there could be a little bit of a bit of a noise in the engine, a little bit of a miss there, but hopefully all good there for the 10.35. So that's all our 10 cars off the line, Lyndon.
yes, Summit Glass, a major sponsor of Gavin Chant, the world's greatest navigator, Ian Budgie Langsford. We'd also like to mention Jeff Brennan's sponsors in the 623 Can-Am Maverick X3, Loveday 4x4 Park, Ronco Motors, Sean's Mobile Mechanics and Manum Auto Parts. And that's all vehicles away for today's race. This is it, the final 100 Ks. And in the background here we can see not only Murray Rogers packing up all the start lighting, getting ready to rush off interstate for the next race meeting. Very well organised crew here for offroadracing.com.au.
Best in the business, Lyndon, there's no doubt about that. So here we go. I just heard on the radio there could have been a car stopped around the second checkpoint. Still trying to get some confirmation, but we'll keep you posted on that as we get some info to hand. But it is all about the front runners here. This is the final heat, ladies and gentlemen. This is where the champions are crowned at the completion. I'll try to get down and get a word with the champion. I believe they're going to pull the first couple of cars up in front of us here in the commentary hut. So hopefully we'll be able to give a word with our eventual champion here, the Mini Pave 250. Simon Tucker let us off. Adam Bell, as I said, only around 12.2 seconds between those guys overnight. So it's going to come down to Lyndon, just that one little mishap, that one cross over the berm, one little bit of untidiness, as they say, could really cost you the outright victory here this weekend.
Yeah, track looks smooth, but it's tough out there, there's no doubt about it. As I demonstrated to some younger cousins many years ago, we've got a little test track in the backyard, and we sent them out in a LJ 4-door Tirana that Action Adams got there as a Thrashmobile, and these cousins appreciated just how quick this Tirana went, and then we got them to jump in the buggy, and they could not believe it, how fast we were hitting the bumps and how smooth these cars felt on the inside compared to looking at the outside. And that's part of the trick, all this technology that's built into these current machines, is you've got absolute gobs of wheel travel on a standard side-by-side, 20 plus inches of wheel travel. It's hard to imagine. Convert that into millimetres and you get a lot of people that aren't carpet go, but no, how can that, what? And they get very confused, but the reality is it just equates into being able to hit these bumps harder and faster and still be able to stay in perfect control. And that's what the millions upon millions of dollars that's been put into these side-by-sides by the manufacturers, and we're able to benefit, whereas a lot of these other buggies you see, development has been done locally, so a lot of people through trial and error, just making a design, doing welding and constructing bits and pieces themselves, and development is right up there now, whereas you can go down to Manum, knock on the Element Prodigy door and say, I'd like to buy a buggy please, and you can have an Australian built product that's had multiple years of development through the Havies, various other people, to develop top quality machinery that can take on the world. And that's what Kevin Knott is taking over to have a go at the Baja 1000 with. Is another Australian product. Previously, you remember that Chris Weston.
I've got sight of our first car, Lyndon. It definitely looks like it's the 110 of Simon Tucker and Riley Skinner there in the Southern Cross machine. So we'll keep an eye on the prize out there in front, but it definitely looks like, as I said, my vision's not the best. But I can confirm it definitely wasn't the black Jimco of Adam Bell, but it looks like it was the white and green Southern Cross of the man himself from Streaky Bay across the ditch over the other side of this great state of South Australia, Simon Tucker. So hopefully and there is the black Jimco. So look at the rooster tails there behind Adam Bell. So he's really winding up the boost there. Obviously V8 powered machine, so we'll keep an eye on the 35, but he said he was going to give it a real red hot crack here this morning. He's had a couple of second outrights at the Menham Enduro, which, as you said, is his new home event now, up at Carl Habe's place there, just north of the circuit here, but we'll keep an eye on those guys. Only 12 seconds between them. And there you go. I did hear a car had stopped on the circuit, and unfortunately it looks like it's the 158 of Trevor Snow and Darren Josie Pryor. So they started out of position 3, 4th in the outright standings, and they have down as stopped on the opening lap. So all eyes on Tucker as he heads towards the closing stages of his opening lap, Lyndon. So around 2 or 3 kilometres left on this lap, but he still looks like going very nicely out in front.
Yes, the next gen machine, the buggy, this has won the Western Australian state titles. It's an accomplished car in the hands of Brett Smith. You still see, remember old Bob introduced it, this is my son Brett.
So this is a fascinating part of the event here. So there, right on the left, Adam Bell knows exactly where Simon Tucker is. They go past each other, maybe a little of a friendly wave, but the first 2 cars are on the hunt here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the opening lap of the final 5 laps of competition here. But Adam Bell, Norrie Birmingham, his partner in the navigator's seat, Riley Skinner in beside the Tucker combination. These are the top 2 cars here today. These are our leading vehicles, still 80 kilometres ahead of these guys once they come through for the first lap. But all eyes on the prize. Look at the Jimco 2000 series working a treat out there. It's a beautifully presented car.
Yeah, put the updated panels on that machine. As here comes the Southern Cross Next Gen. As I said, Brett Smith being introduced us many years ago at Wakery, and he has developed this car with Bob, and it is a winning combination as proved here by Simon Tucker. He's having a great run in this car. You just see the smile coming through the helmet without having to really focus too hard. Doing a great effort there in the Next Gen machine.
He's having a great run out there, so we'll get a lap time for the Tucker combination. He goes through in 11:10. So a nice solid lap to start with, but what can Adam Burl do about that? The Jimco 2000 series will launch off that stadium jump in front of us here at headquarters. He'll spin it into the left, Lyndon, and he'll head across the finish. 12 seconds, you've got to remind us, there's 12.2 seconds between those 2 competitors heading into the first lap here on Sunday. So what can Adam Burl do to the timesheets? Can he crack? And he goes 11:18. So there you go. That's a bit surprising for me. But there you go. Simon Tucker extends the lead, Lyndon, with 4 laps remaining.
Going very quickly indeed. The Jet Tech Performance Jimco.
So unfortunately, it does look like we've lost the 158 of Trevor Snow in the S&S Race Frames Mark 1. Darren Josie Price still down as stock, but now the margin has been increased to 20 seconds for Simon Tucker fans. 20 seconds, 4 laps remaining, so plenty to unfold. Brendan Johns, Blair Johns shouldn't be too far away. Hamish Lockett, Cy Heaslip, so still many contenders. You never know, Michael Shipton and Paul Chorlton could find themselves up there with a podium finish. And that is the nature and the beauty of this great sport. The unknown is really prominent, and yeah, probably 40 to an hour, minute time, we'll see and be able to declare an inaugural mini Pave champion.
Yeah, the Wardentown locals coming in here in number 1, 2, 3. They Southern Cross, Northern Grain, still relatively new car for the Johns clan, Johns Motorsport team. They got the Mark II. They got the Class 2, I should say.
So Brendan Johns and Blair Johns there, Lyndon, and the 123, as you said, go through in 11:53. And Hamish Lockett, he could be the mover here. Obviously started in position 5, but in 3rd outright position. And we'll get a time for Hamish Lockett, and there you go, 11:46. So he jumps ahead of Brendan Johns there for the 3rd quickest opening lap. Michael Shipton fans, your man is in our presence, and he's not too far away from completing an opening lap.
But coming in on 999 Jimco, the single-seater is Cy Heaslip. Enjoying a bit of V8 power, normally a Volkswagen man for many, many years. Yeah, cool. But I know Trevor Copeland will have a big smile on his face, going, I'm very glad that Cy could chase that gremlin out of the car. We've been trying to fix it for a number of years. And we wish the best of health there to Trevor Copeland. And I know Alan Galliford's all excited to see that car out circulating. Anything to put a smile on your face is a good thing. And while we're thinking of that, we'll just a big shout out to Les Sivia, mate. Les competing with some problems himself there. Thanks for the memories, Les. Absolute legend.
Yeah, some sad news out of the Griffith area there, but he'll battle on, I'm sure. So Michael Shipton and Paul Chalk crossing in the 585. So Heaslip come through at 11.52. So keep an eye on those guys here. So the Shipton Ford Ranger crosses and he goes 6th quickest with a 12.11.9. So still running nicely, but Cy Heaslip, he's one of your roughies for the weekend, Lyndon. He's worked his way up into 4th quickest for that opening lap. So some quick times ahead of him, I'm sure, with 4 laps remaining here this morning.
Yeah, I think Cy's getting used to the weight of this car. I know when I hopped into a heavier car, the braking points that you get embedded into your mind are slightly different to the reality of the weight of the car you're driving, and you outbrake yourself, as they say. So you just got to get used to all of that weight difference from a previous model car. I think Cy's doing that today.
So that was the Jeff Brennan, Brett Beatty entry in the 6.23 go through. Of course, our side-by-side competitor here in this final heat, they go with a 12.39.0, so they go 7th quickest there in the 6.23 cam. So keep an eye on those guys, our leading side-by-side crew this weekend. Jamie and Naomi Parker, not too far away, hopefully. And here he is right on the commentator's queue, and that is the 8.26, running in 2-wheel drive this today, I believe. Obviously did a front diff there yesterday in the patrol, which is always going to make for a bit tough going there, Lyndon. Obviously the pace won't be there today for Jamie, but I'm still sure he'll be looking to start going and get some more laps on the board here for another crack at the Tough As Mini Pave 250, brought to you again by our great friends here at Ian and Brendan Barclay. If you see those guys before you leave, make sure you give them a massive share, a shake of the hand, a pat on the back, because it's been a great little event down here in beautiful Port Germain, Lyndon. I'm sure it'll continue to build over the coming years.
Have you enjoyed your time here, mate?
I have. It's been a great weekend, and the hospitality's been world class. And yeah, I'm actually not looking forward to the flight home tomorrow, but that's part and parcel of the gig. But yeah, it's been a great event. Hospitality, as I said, the track, everyone's very friendly. Obviously, as you said, across the off-road circuit. But yeah, the South Australians do love their racing, and yeah, happy to hopefully return in the coming years.
Oh, I hope so. It's been good fun having you here, mate. Speaking of good fun, 10.35, you know he knows where he's going. Gavin Chant in the Summit Glass Southern Cross with Ian Budgie Langsford. He's got that super fast finger. Just motivates Gavin to go faster and faster every time. So they disappear in the dust there. He's got a Honda KA 2.4 litre, that Southern Cross Mark IV Sports Light, and a lap time there of 13 minutes and 11 seconds. Trevor Snow, still the only car that hasn't completed the first lap here, and he has stopped out on the track. Hopefully he might be able to make some repairs to get back. So fantastic racing again here at the Tough As Products Mini Pave 250.
So still waiting for the signs of our first vehicle here, Lyndon. There's a couple out in our vision. So as I said, it's really hard to get a gauge.
Spencer Golf. It's about a kilometre or so of sand you can walk out almost at low tide. That's why Port Germain did have the longest wooden jetty or in the southern hemisphere. It's over a mile long. Great thing to do if you're just down the road here, to go and walk the mile. I understand that was all in the sailing ship's days to load in the grain, so a great bit of history here. And not forgetting Port Augusta, of course, just up the road here. Got a lot of boat history and steel fabrication history up there, and just come down here, we've got a lot of old lead smelters shut, but the electricity's still firing up out of Port Perry here. So a lot to do along the Iron Triangle, as they used to call it, this area. Remember, this is a private property.
So here is our first car, Lyndon, to our right. I just get a glimpse of him coming out of that northern part of the circuit. You can see the dust really starting to play a factor for these competitors. Adam Bell, they're going past, so maybe Bell might have caught up a little bit here. It's really hard to gauge, and I reckon he has, because at that point there before, Adam Bell was sort of coming past there. So I reckon Adam Bell might have made a bit of a move here on lap 2, Lyndon, but we'll keep an eye on that. So Tucker's still our leading car, the 110 Southern Cross machine. He went into this lap with around a 20.2 second margin in the outright times, but we'll keep an eye on that. But Adam Bell, he should come out of those trees to the right there, Lyndon, very shortly, and he'll be coming back towards us here at the final stage of the event. So we'll just have to keep an eye on Well, there it is there. So that's around the point that we looked at there before, Lyndon. So when the Tucker entry went past that jump there, that turn of the Beale and Jimco went through. So it looks like Tucker might have maintained his spot on the circuit. So it'll be very interesting to see what sort of lap times these two competitors can set here.
Yeah, another car rotated from its standard position of all four paws on the ground. Crew are A-OK. I'll give you some more information as it comes to hand, as here comes the Tucker machine.
He's launched it off that final jump, landed on the front left wheel there, and it got all a little bit skatey there for a moment. But Simon Tucker, he's having a Sunday drive here, Lyndon, and he's got 3. Head down, bum up, as they say. Lots of concentration needed out there on that 21. It'll be a 20k circuit, but they reckon it's very demanding. So we'll try and get a time for Simon Tucker, and he goes quicker again with an 11.06.6 for Tucker fans. So your man has really taken a leap here on the second lap. Adam Bell, Norrie Birmingham now should be the next ones through in the 35. So we'll keep an eye on those guys as they cross for the final time for lap 2.
Comes the Jet Tech Performance Jimco.
So Adam Bell, that lap might have been a little bit slower than his first lap. I'm going to take a bit of a rough stab in the dark, and he goes 0.7 of a second slower than his opening lap. So on the money there, and Adam Bell and Norrie Birmingham go through an 11.18. So there you go, Tucker again with a 12-second advantage on lap 2. So Tucker extends his lead heading into the final 3 laps, but still 60 kilometres of action, and as we've seen today, Lyndon, lots can happen out there.
Yeah, definitely lots happening out there. If you suddenly think that someone's pulling the wool over your eyes there on the vision at home, no, that's just action atom on camera A protecting a very sensitive camera to dust. These guys putting out a lot more dust than our previous heat. Bigger tyres, bigger horsepower, bigger mess behind the wheels.
Yes. So we're still awaiting the Cy Heaslip Brendan Johns. I'm not quite sure, I haven't got the number yet of the car that has had a bit of a rollover out there on the circuit. Well, it's got down Brendan Johns, Blair and Cooper Johns, so maybe it was the 1, 2, 3. Crew is all okay there in the Southern Cross Mark 5, which is always the main priority of this course when a car does tumble off its four wheels. But yeah, it looks like it could be the end of their weekend. That's the 1, 2, 3 of Brendan and Blair Johns. So hopefully, yeah.
There was also notification that Hamish Lockett stopped to lend assistance to the rollover of the Johns machine, and got him. So that will make the outright times a bit of a head scratch. So it gives the offroadracing.com.au crew a little bit of extra work to do to work out the adjustment time.
Adjusted times, yeah. So that's obviously great work from Hamish Lockett, Protocol and Off-Road Racing, the first two crews to stop to lend assistance. But I'm sure Hamish will be back on the circuit and he will get that time back. The shortest looks like Cy Heaslip going across the back there, Lyndon also. The Michael Shipton, Paul Chorton entry there I saw head across towards the north of the circuit as well, so keep an eye on that. Cy might have also stopped to render assistance because he was only a couple of cars behind that of Brendan Johns in the Southern Cross. And Jeff Brennan, Jamie Parker and Gavin Chan. Looks like unfortunately Trevor Snow fans, your man has stopped, and sounds like end of weekend for the 158 Pro Light machine, so we'll have to stay tuned for those updates as they come to hand.
Yeah, looks like Jamie Parker here, is it? No, it's the Shipton machine putting out a great dust screen for Cy Heaslip behind him. Cy just staying just out the end of the dust here. These vehicles with a hell of a lot more chassis and fiberglass create a lot more wind at turbulence from underneath the car, which pushes a lot more dust into the air. So Cy Heaslip very experienced in breaking through the dust, but get ready to hear Wendy wail. Because here comes her boy. This is the business books today. Stopper Paint and Panel, SBH Engineering, Delco Constructions, Ford SBH Ranger. Doesn't sound like a Ford engine, you're right, because that's a Chevy LS1, 5700 cc's. The 999 single-seater Cy Heaslip, just at the tip of the dust cloud produced by this Ford Ranger. There it is, there's the Wendy wail. Woo! Is your mic on that? Cy Heaslip coming through now.
Yeah, so I reckon, yeah, Michael Shipton was definitely through 5th or 6th there. So obviously Cy and Hamish have both stopped to render some assistance, which is great stuff from those two competitors. Shipton went through with a 12.32, and yeah, Cy's around at nearly 2 minutes off his first lap with a 13.53. So of course those competitors will get their time allotment back there once the officials work that out. Due course, Hamish Lockett there back in motion, so he's really looking nicely for that third and final podium spot. Jamie and Naomi Parker, Lyndon are still travelling nicely in the patrol.
Action, can you get on it, mate? It's not that much dust, can you film, please?
So the Jeff Brennan Can-Am here, Lyndon. Brett beating the Navigator seat, our leading side-by-side turbo this weekend, doing their thing nicely. They'll head through on their second lap. So that was probably another quick time there for Brennan. There you go, 13.01. So a nice lap for the 6.23 of Jeff Brennan. There, you going? There, bud.
See you for a beer in my home.
Hello.
Fist punch. Oh, I should have laid you a few times there, but you were just. See you, dude. There we go, Hamish Lockett coming through there. Now all of these times will be corrected. He's got a 15-minute 59-second lap. We know he's a lot faster than that. So the corrected time will be worked out here afterwards, so a good reason to keep an eye out on offroadracing.com.au.
Another good lap there from the Parkers there, Lyndon, a 13.11.0, so they're still running nice, and they're well and truly placed for that top 5 or 6 finish, which will be a well-deserved reward with 3 laps remaining for the Port Augusta-based competitors.
Yes, and here comes Gavin Chant and Ian Budgie Langsford.
Now hand signals are working nicely there, Lyndon, for the Budgie, and he's really working his magic there as Gavin crosses for his second lap here. That was a 13.16, so only a few seconds off the pace of his first car.
Yes, some people say, Toby, that he's actually steering with his hands.
He's doing
He
his
has the
work.
power.
He has the power. Great to see. It's a great combination, and there, yeah, as you said, one of the more likeable and characters of the Australian off-road circuit. As you said, he's become famous up there at the Fink Desert Race, the Budgie. I just did get vision of our first lead car heading across there on that middle straight, as we like to call it. They're heading back towards the north of the circuit. Simon Tucker and Riley Skinner now heading towards us. Adam Burr and Norrie Birmingham now heading there past their way. So there really is nothing between these two, around 30 odd seconds. So still, as I said, a lot can play out in the remaining 50 or so kilometres of action. There's still 2 laps remaining once these crews come through. But it is Simon Tucker Lyndon that still leads the way here, searching for that maiden outright victory in the Aussie off-road circuit here at the Mini Pave 250. What a better place to do it than the inaugural Tough As Mini Pave 250.
Oh, putting on a great show here. He was quick at Love Day. He put the car over there. It's following the Brett Smith tradition of rolling the car at Love Day at least once. Doesn't hurt the car. They do pick the correct place to do a gentle rotation. Built pretty tough there, the old Southern Cross buggies.
And I'm sure young Riley would have had a good look over his shoulder there and saw Adam Bell coming across, and he would have said to Mr. Simon Tucker, we're running nicely here, mate, so just keep the pace. You don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. Of course, Simon Tucker is the leading candidate now. He's put himself in a prime spot, Lyndon, for the Tough As South Australian Motorsport Australia Off-Road Racing Championship, which has also been decided here this weekend. Jeff Brennan seems to be his biggest challenger here, so there's lots to play out for in that regard as well. Adam Burl comes around that one of the final deep berms. You can really see how deep that berm's getting over there. You only just saw the fin number of that Jimco, Lyndon, so that's playing a bit of a factor there. But here is the man himself, Simon Tucker from Streaky Bay. He turns into the left-hand corner. He still has 2 laps remaining, so hopefully no curse here, but the 110 is in for their 3rd lap, and I reckon this will be a quick lap, Lyndon, because he really looks like he... There you go, another quick lap, 11.11 for Simon Tucker. So the pace setter is through. He's got 2 laps remaining. The 110, our lead car for the Mini Pave 250.
Well, it's giving us a bit of indication that the Moles machine would clear 1 minute faster than Simon Tucker here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the final calculations for these guys. But here comes the Jet Tech Performance machine of Adam Burl.
His partner Norrie Birmingham in the Navigator's seat. That's a pretty cool way to spend some time together out in the Jimco 2000 series, Lyndon, on a Sunday morning. as I said, as you said, they love their motorsport. They were here Thursday afternoon and enjoying soaking up the atmosphere of the Mini Pave 250 and Burl and Birmingham, our second car on the road. They come through, so we'll get a lap time for them. I reckon the margin might be extended here for Tucker fans, so we'll keep you updated as we get an official time here on our record. So 3 laps in the book there for Adam Burl as he competes. So still no time for Adam Burl. Unfortunately, they're down for a DNF for both Trevor Snow and Brendan Johns, who started out of 4th and 5th respectively in the outright standings. So top 5 positions are there for the taking here, Lyndon. Of course, Hamish Lockett. And there you go. So 11-17 for Adam Burl and Norrie Birmingham. So yeah, another 5 or so seconds. So the margin extends to around that 35-36 second mark now for Simon Tucker. So I'll have to keep a close eye on him. Jeff Brennan I see coming across. Hamish Lockett still circulating out there in the background. I think Paul Moggle Shipton now I saw go across in the Ford Ranger. So still plenty to unfold out there this morning. And as we approach 10:30 a.m. local time, Lyndon, the excitement builds for our inaugural Tough As Mini Pave 250 champion.
Just absolutely flown again this heat. Quite literally a lot faster we were, of course, the faster cars. What a great day it's been out here at the Barclay property in Sandfire Road, Port Germain, South Australia. Been on some fantastic conditions again. The wind is just the right direction to keep the dust away from everyone spectating. Storms are on the way for tomorrow, I've been told. So they've timed the race weekend to absolute perfection here for the Tough As Mini Pave 250. Hasn't it been good?
It's been a great event, Lyndon. Everything's run smoothly, of course. Best in the business, Murray and Julie Rogers here. The Barclays have put on a great event. Ian Matheson, obviously the event secretary, has done a power of work as well. The canteens run smoothly all weekend. Everyone's had the Porter Pub was a bit of a hit this weekend. Very unique aspect of the event. Yeah, you can't go to an off-road race without a cold tin at the end of the week, at the end of the day's action. But I'm sure, yeah, I just hope this event continues to prosper into the future. I'm sure Tony Waitley and the team there at Loveday 4x4 Park, and of course Ian Barkler, and maybe another championship round thrown in there to make it a 3-round series next year. But
they'd like to thank their sponsors here too this weekend. Mini Pave Bitumen, Mini Pave Concrete, of course. Tough As Products, a major sponsor of this race meeting. Perry's Fuel, you can see Perry's Fuel over in the Tin Man out on the Manning Road, and he's got a whole heap of other service stations around the area here. Thanks to Perry's for their support. David Kent Buses. Did I say David Kent Buses? I'm pretty sure I said David Kent Buses. Thank you very much for your support. Stories of the Road Museum, helping out to make sure this event runs top quality. Look them up on Google, Story of the Road Museum.